Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be making some really quick and easy background in my art journal using rainbows, because why not? So I had this page, a denim page in my art journal, and I was just in the mood. I needed to paint and add colour. I didn't really care what I was doing, I just wanted to have a bright page in my journal because I've been doing a lot of grungy stuff lately and I've been avoiding my rainbows, and for those people who have followed my channel for a while now, I do like a good rainbow here and there. So I'm just starting out by putting some gesso down on my page, and I just use a palette knife to do that out, just so it's quick and easy. You could use a paintbrush if you wanted to, but you know, it's not necessary. I'm also going in and drying it off a little bit so that I could make sure when I was painting that it wouldn't dull down my colours, because I really wanted it to be nice and bright. I'm also multitasking here because I was watching an episode of TV and one of the characters, I was trying to work out if they're good and bad, and I have no patience, a bit like when I'm doing my artwork, so I had to Google it to find out. Excuse me, sorry. So I'm going in with my lighter colours first, with my yellow and then my green. I'm just spreading it out with a paintbrush. My paintbrush is fairly dry. You can see me, I was going to say matting it off, but sort of drying it off. It's on a wet wipe, so it's not 100% dry, but it's not watery, put it that way. And I'm just sort of going through two or three patches of colour. I'm also overlapping them as I go along. Because the colours are fairly straight, there's not too much water going on. I'm doing this fairly immediately. You can see I've just put the orange down where the pink's going down, and it's not really changing the colour all that much. One of the good things about the paint I'm using is because it's quite heavy bodied, it's not going to shift too much. If I was using something really, really liquid, which you'll see an example of in a minute, that would change it somewhat. So my yellow was just a little bit dull. So, and I didn't have much left in my jar, which is why I resorted to this. I've just got some liquid yellow, or fluid acrylic, and I've just poured a little bit of that over the top. But you could see how liquid that was, and yeah, it's great, it's bright, it's beautiful, but it's going to run everywhere, so just be aware. So once I've finished, I'm going through and drying off my page, and then I decided, I got to this point, I knew I wanted colour on it, but then I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So what Niamh usually does is either splat something on it or do some mark making. So I decided to do all of that. So I've got in my gloss sprays, which is the new Fuchsia and Tangelo, and sprayed those around the background, or sorry, splattered those around. You'll find quite often this is the way I use my gloss sprays. I don't tend to spray with them very much, so if I can take them out and flick some paint off the stem of the spray, that's what I tend to do. This is a stencil from Natalie May, who's an Australian designer, shopkeeper and designer of stencils, which I really loved. And I'm just using some white to bring in some white space and to sort of tie the images, the paint colours together. So you'll see they're sort of, when they're not stenciled over, they're very, very patchy. But by putting a little bit of stenciling over the top, it actually gives it a little bit of conformity. It sort of ties it all together. You can still see the outlines of the paint, but it just, your eye sort of tends to gloss over it a little bit more. Then I'm going in with my paint pens, again using colours that I've got in the background. So I'm not adding in any new colours, apart from the white. So I'm using sort of the oranges to repeat the orange colour, and just doing really simple mark making. I'm doing some crosses, cleaning up my yellow paint pen because that was a bit messy, doing some dots, just to brighten it up. And again, it's just sort of like a sprinkling over the top to tie it together. It helps get that sort of random feel to your page a little bit. But it's fairly simple, you know, those dots, it's just using the bottom of the paint pen. So there's nothing fancy to it. So once you're finished drying it off, then you can go on to the next step, which was, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I decided I'd just write a quote on this page. And as I was scrolling through Facebook, I think it was, it might have been Instagram, I came across this quote, which you can see me sort of looking up on my phone because I actually took a screenshot of it. And I really liked it because it just sums up where I'm feeling about myself at the moment. And it's the only one I should compare myself to is who I was yesterday, which I thought was fairly spot on, because there's no point in comparing yourself to anyone else. We're all on different journeys. We're all on different, learning paths. The only person we can try and improve on is the person that we were yesterday. So that was my focus. And I like the fact that occasionally I'll do pages like this in my journal, which is, just colour in the background and a big mantra quote over the top. So it stands out, it's bright and colourful, it cheers me up, it's something I need to tell myself, so when I'm flicking through my journal I can see that and it stands out. And, in comparison to the page on the left-hand side, which is kind of the same really, that page also came from, you're trying, you're doing your best, but which page stands out a little bit more. So it's funny, both of those pages are probably about exactly the same thing in my life, but it's just interesting. One was probably approached when I was feeling a bit vulnerable about it, and the other one's being approached when I'm trying to be really positive about it and trying to actually make a difference. And I find that really interesting when I go through my journals, that I can see that in what I'm creating and as how it comes across or what colours I use. So once I've finished doing my lettering, how I do my lettering usually is I write it out just the paint pen the first time, then I go back once it actually all fits onto the page and extend my letters up and down. I usually put little triangles on the bottoms just to widen them out a little bit, and then finally I go in with a white pen or a contrasting colour to put the highlights on the letters, and that just helps it stand out from the background a little bit. In the close-up you'll also see, particularly this one, when I've put the highlights on, I've actually done it within the black and just left a tiny little bit of black around it, so it really does sort of pop out from the background. You can see some of the letters are a little bit splattery, and that's because I'm working on denim and my pen sort of catches as you go along. I like that effect, but if it really bothers you, maybe leave your paint to dry for a day or two and then try going over it with a gel pen. You shouldn't have that splattery effect. So I hope you try doing a rainbow background in your journal. You might like to write a positive mantra to yourself as well. And until next time, bye for now.